All right, thank you for joining us, Mr. Anand. How's the day been, the event, and what were the takeaways for you?
I think it's been a very eventful day for a couple of reasons. One is the depth of knowledge that we've seen with the panelists that has come out clearly. And the second is what we've discovered, and this has been my personal discovery, that HR professionals like to be a lot more humorous these days rather than being serious, because they're actually being categorized as serious set of people who just know how to do the work and they restrict to that. So I've actually saw a different side of the HR professionals today.
All right. Any specific trend you have observed in the HR industry?
I think for an HR professional, the only thing that I can say is the only thing constant is change. So for an HR professional to keep evolving, both personally and professionally, that is being the biggest trend that I have observed.
All right. Anything, in a way, a paradigm shift the sector would be facing or is facing right now with startups coming into picture, e-retail, e-commerce, so much is happening.
This is a word that I have heard growing up, which has been the war for talent. And I think you bring out a very classical point of saying with the startups coming in, where you have a CEO who's at the age of 30 and you have your chief marketing officer who's also at the age of 30. The war for talent has become even more intense. So people want bigger designations, they want more money, and they just want to be doing things which come to their mind and do not want to follow the suit which has been happening in the past. That's what I've seen as a paradigm shift, that the war for talent has become even more intense now. The good people are getting opportunities, bigger paychecks and bigger titles.
All right. Well, the panel discussed that in a way decentralization of HR would be an ultimate solution. Do you agree to it?
Decentralization of HR can be looked at different ways. One is the fact that in any which ways they say that your manager, your line manager is your first connect with HR. So that's one way I see decentralization of HR. The second piece is giving authority and responsibility across the HR vertical and not restricting it with the head of HR. So that's the two ways I see decentralization actually taking place.
All right. According to you, what do you think is happening right now in the Indian ecosystem with regards to hiring and attrition? Any company you would like to quote or refer to which is doing well? Or rather, I should frame the question like, when do you think India can have companies like Google and Facebook when employees would really aspire to be there?
So I think that aspiration with employees is already there. Every company is trying to create a niche for itself in terms of the value proposition that they have in the market. I've been in the trade for over a decade and a half, and what I've observed is the initial pull for employees used to be compensation. How much money can you give me? Currently, compensation has become a hygiene factor. People are more interested in what career advancements can you give me. So just to share a statistics with you, 28% of the workforce that we have at managerial positions are from the millennials. Just to reinforce the fact that people are getting that movement up very quickly in their career.
All right. What's your expectation from the HR sector in terms of brand management? How soon do you think they would be able to make a brand for themselves?
HR like a sales organization. HR is like the first point of contact with a prospective employee and also with a regular employee who's on roles already, and the HR needs to play a bigger role when it comes to creating a brand for the organization itself, because when I can share with you an organization without naming it, the experience I had interviewing with them, it still brings fond memories in my mind. Just the experience of being wanted. I didn't get the job finally, but the experience of being wanted and the way the entire process was handled was exceptional. So I think to your question, the direct answer would be that yes, HR has a big role to play as a brand manager for the organization.
And also, how do they make themselves a brand manager or a brand in themselves, an entity in themselves internally within the organization?
So that's a very interesting question that you ask, because we always talk about customers which are external. So my organization services customers and they become external customers. The day HR realizes that it needs to service internal people as internal customers, I think the perception that you're talking about will definitely change.
All right. Anything else you would like to add?
The only thing I would probably say as a concluding thought for my HR professionals and my colleagues that are there out there is for them to keep evolving and keep changing with times. The other piece is for them to understand business probably better than the way business understands itself. That's the only way you'll be able to play a partnership role with the business itself.
And a little about KPMG's own hiring. How do you go ahead with it? Do you outsource it or do you have your?
So we have internal hiring that takes place, and in KPMG when we're hiring, we pay a lot more emphasis on the values that we have for KPMG and how a person is able to demonstrate those values in the conversation or the interview, as you like to call it.
All right. How different is the hiring when you talk about the KPMG Global and the captive units all over the world? Is it the same?
There is a standardized process that is being followed.